Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT N-Line. In this video, I'll be covering all of the ins and outs, including what sets the N-Line apart from a regular GT. I'll also take it on a thorough drive. We'll talk about performance, pricing, features, and more. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in, start her up, and let her run. Hyundai's actually been in the process of rolling out a new performance brand that, at least in the States, is spearheaded by the Veloster N. Over in Europe, they also have the i30N, which is the Elantra GT, just under a different name. Now with the N-Line, it's kind of a bridge between a standard mass production vehicle and a full-blown N product. So this isn't going to offer as much performance as an i30N or a Veloster N, but it does have a lot of well-deserved upgrades, such as the suspension, a different powertrain, a lot of styling touches, and a higher grade of standard features at a price point that's a bit easier to swallow. The current generation Elantra GT was introduced for the 2018 model year, and at the time, all you had was the standard model and the Elantra GT Sport. Now, the N-Line replaces the Sport for the 2019 model year. And while the two are pretty similar when it comes to upgrades, there are some key differences, and of course, I will talk about those as we go through the video. Base pricing for an Elantra GT starts at $20,450, while the N-Line with a 6-speed manual transmission comes in at $23,300. The automatic 7-speed dual-clutch transmission is a $1,100 option, with an $885 destination charge as well as the technology package. This particular example retails for $29,135. A smart key entry system comes as standard equipment, so as long as you keep the key fob in your pocket, you can lock and unlock the vehicle by using the buttons on the front doors. You can also unlock the trunk. Along with that, push-button ignition is also standard, so to start, again, keep the key fob in your pocket, put your foot on the brake, and then hit that dash-mounted button to go. This thing's got a pretty good sound to it. I'll get some more clips towards the end of the video. Let's dive right into it. The first thing that stands out with the N-Line's interior is all of the red accents. Leather upholstery is standard, with plenty of perforated portions across the seats, shift knob, and steering wheel. The steering wheel has big grip bolsters at 10 and 2, and special badging towards the bottom. The seats are different as well. It's a sportier design with thicker bolstering up top and down below, N logos embossed in the backrests, as well as adjustable headrests and seat belts. The driver's seat benefits from full power adjustment, including power lumbar. The passenger seat does not have adjustable lumbar, and the adjustments are manual, but one of those adjustments is height. If opting for the technology package, you also get 3-stage heated and ventilated front seats. The interior is really quite nice, especially for the price point. I'll talk about the rest of the standard and optional features a little bit later in the video. There's lots of soft touch padding where it matters the most, such as the upper dashboard, the upper and middle portions of the door panels, and the center console. Everything is laid out really good as well. Nice and simple, ergonomically friendly. It also looks good. There's plenty of satin bright work here and there, as well as gloss black trim. Next, let's switch gears and talk about the powertrain. Under the hood of the N-Line, you'll find a 1.6-liter turbocharged and direct injected 4-cylinder, making 201 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 195 pound-feet of torque between 1,500 and 4,500 RPM. For those that remember, this is the same engine that was in the Veloster R-Spec that I filmed last year. It's a pretty sweet setup overall. A big improvement over the naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that you'll find in the regular Elantra GT. The 2-liter puts out 161 horsepower at 6,200 RPM and 150 pound-feet of torque at 4,700 RPM. Both engines feature aluminum construction, so aluminum for the block and head, as well as 4 valves per cylinder, again, direct fuel injection. The 1.6-liter has a compression ratio of 9.5 to 1. The N-Line also comes with a choice between 2 transmissions. Unlike the standard Elantra GT, a 6-speed manual comes standard. However, this one has the optional 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. You can change gears manually if you'd like by tapping the shifter to the left and pushing it forward or pulling it back. There's also a set of paddle shifters in the back of the steering wheel that you can use, which are actually pretty good size. In the console, to the left of the shifter, if you get the dual clutch transmission, you also get selectable drive modes. There's only 2 in this case, normal and sport. I just can't believe how quick this DCT changes gears. Downshifts, you can't even feel them. It gets you right where you need to be with literally no hesitation. You come out of a corner, upshift, just nothing, just straight on. It's awesome. Because the DCT shifts so quick, it's actually a little quicker off the line than the 6-speed manual. From a standstill, you can hit 60 miles an hour in about 6.3 seconds. Just a little bit of torque steer, no big deal. Power comes on really strong. Like I said, peak torque is available as low as 1,500 RPM. I don't notice much lag. And plus, this doesn't weigh a whole lot. Depending on which transmission you go for, curb weight's only between 3,000, 3,100 pounds. It's a lot of fun. The power and transmission options are really nice, but what really sets this apart from a regular Elantra GT is the suspension. You have a similar design in the front, a McPherson strut setup, but in the rear, instead of the torsion beam setup that you have on the standard car, this has a multi-link suspension. It's very similar to the type of upgrades that I talked about with that Veloster R-Spec a while back. It handles great. This thing is super sharp. It's front-wheel drive. Feels like it has good grip. But with the manual transmission, you get those summer tires too, so depending on what you're looking to get out of the car, that'll give you even more grip. As far as fuel economy, an N-Line with the 6-speed manual is rated between 23 miles per gallon in the city and 30 miles per gallon on the highway. You can expect an average of around 26 miles per gallon. However, if you go for the 7-speed dual clutch, you actually get better return, 25, 32, and 28 respectively. The total tank capacity is 14 gallons, and despite having the turbo, the N-Line runs on regular unleaded fuel, so you can save a little bit of money at the pump over premium. The fuel cap holder is a nice touch. The suspension design is not the only thing that's changed. With the N-Line in particular, they did a bunch of other little things to separate itself from the 2018 Elantra GT Sport to just create a more performance-focused car. It's stiffer by a long shot. For example, the mountings for the engine and transmission are stiffer. The spring rates, front and rear, are firmer. The rear sway bar is thicker. The front one, I think, is actually a millimeter smaller in diameter. The shocks were retuned. I mean, it's a very stiff car. It handles great. It's very, very responsive. Some people might think that it's too stiff. I mean, over some of these rougher back roads, it does get a bit jarring at times. There's a little bit of extra road noise, like especially on the highway and stuff. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job. They also retuned the steering, so it remains to be an electrically assisted setup. The overall ratio, if I remember correct, is 13.4 to 1, and it only takes about 2.6 turns to lock, so it's very responsive. It doesn't take a whole lot of turning to get this car where you need to get it. The steering has pretty decent feel too, especially compared to some Hyundais in the past, which were characteristically known for having like more numb steering. A little bit of extra feedback is always welcome, but I think this is a good compromise between feeling the road and still remaining comfortable. Like, you don't want too much feel because then it just becomes like annoying after a while, but they've certainly improved their setups over the years. Changes for the N-Line also extend to the exterior, where you'll find a number of unique changes to distance itself from the regular Elantra GT. For starters, you have full LED headlamps standard, a different grille with black mesh and a silver outline, as well as a deeper chin spoiler and just a more aggressive front fascia in general. Across the side, you have unique wheels, black beltline trim, as well as black mirrors with built-in turn signals. Out back to complement the front, you have LED tail lamps, inline badging on the right side of the tailgate, as well as a sportier rear fascia with silver accenting and twin polished exhaust tips. The panoramic sunroof is an optional feature on all Elantra GTs. There's a windscreen that automatically pops up, and it lets a lot of natural light into the interior. Larger 18 by 7.5 inch wheels come as standard equipment. You have a machined face with light gray painted pockets. The tires measure 225/40. They're hand-cooked tires with the DCT, but on the 6-speed manual, you get Michelin Pilot Sport 4 summer tires. All Elantra GTs come with 4-wheel disc brakes, internally ventilated in front and solid in the rear. However, the N-Line actually has larger discs for added performance. You have 12 inches versus 11 inches in front and 11.2 inches versus 10.3 inches in the rear. As far as the rest of the interior features, I mentioned earlier that this one had the optional technology package. It's a $3,850 option, and not only comes with a whole bunch of extra comfort and convenience goodies, but it also packs a lot of driver assistance features. Things like adaptive cruise control with start-stop capability, forward collision warning, high beam assist, lane keep assist, and driver attention warning. There's dual front airbags, front seat-mounted side airbags, side curtain airbags for the front and rear, and a driver's knee airbag. I've come to really like the modern trend of having these freestanding displays. It's very clean, very simple. You have your shortcut buttons to either side, as well as 2 rotary knobs and a touchscreen in the middle. This is the main menu. You can view your media, navigation, access all of the menus. The system is very responsive, and it's got all of the modern features you could ask for, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. On the steering wheel, you have all of your multifunction controls, including voice commands and hands-free telephone, radio controls, cruise control, and the driver's information system. Dual zone climate control system is also standard on the N-Line. You have your temperature adjustments to either side by those rotary knobs, and all of your other adjustments in the middle from fan speed to different zones. All 4 power windows and your power mirrors are located on the driver's door, while your power locks are controlled by that button in the middle there. Also on the N-Line, if you want some extra support from the armrest, you can slide it forward. Open it up, you have a pretty good amount of storage space with a 12-volt power outlet. Right in front, the cup holders are covered by that little door there, 2 different sizes, extra storage, as well as a electronic parking brake with auto hold feature. Right in front of the shifter is another cubby. It houses your USB auxiliary input as well as an extra 12-volt power outlet. This one, again with the technology package, has a wireless pad for charging compatible devices. The glove box is quite generous too. It's not lockable, but it is damped, so it opens up nice and slow to a very large amount of space. Both visors feature vanity mirrors with illumination, little card holders, and extendable portions. Up in the top, you have an auto-dimming rear-view mirror with a built-in compass, garage home link, roadside assistance, and the Blue Link connected car services. There's also a sunglass container up there. Next, let's check out the back seat. The door panels are very similar to the front in the fact that they have all of that padded material across the top and middle. There's also some pretty good sized storage down there, as well as a bottle holder. Additional storage pockets can be found on the backs of the front seats. Another exclusive feature to the N-Line are the adjustable air vents in the back portion of the center console. The regular Elantra GT doesn't have it, so in this, you have a little bit more customizability and everybody can stay more comfortable temperature-wise. Now let's climb aboard. The opening is pretty good size, nice height, so you don't have to scrunch down too much to get in. Just watch the back of your head on that C-pillar. I'm 5'10" and I have the front seat set for myself. So when I'm sitting back here, I still have some leg space, you know, maybe an inch and a half or so. I do wish this wasn't plastic though, because if you do hit this by accident, it's probably gonna hurt a little bit. Just something to be aware of, if you get the panoramic roof, you're gonna decrease your headspace just a little bit. Again, I'm 5'10", I still have, at its lowest point, about an inch or so of wiggle space, which is fine for me. If you're 6 feet or so, you might be a little bit tight. As far as amenities back here, again, you have the lower console air vents, which are super nice to keep things comfortable. There are coat hooks on both sides, as well as grab handles and illumination. In the center of the seats, if you don't have a fifth person in the middle, you can also fold down the armrest and it has 2 cup holders. Speaking of fifth person, you can sit somebody in the middle of the rear seat. It's not the most comfortable place to be. As you can see, my knees are touching the seat backs here, and just with somebody in the middle here would have to be a lot smaller than the people sitting out here, otherwise it's gonna be tight. Of course, one of the nice things about opting for a hatchback is that you're just gonna get a lot more total cargo space than a typical sedan, with arguably better driving dynamics than a lot of CUVs out there. The Elantra GT is certainly no exception. Behind the rear seat, you have 24.9 cubic feet worth of cargo space. Normally, there's a 2-tier load floor, and I haven't seen one in person, but if I had to assume, there's probably like a floor panel right here that you can lift up and store smaller things underneath. But if you get the Infinity audio system, it deletes that setup. So the sub is located over there, and at least as far as what I can see here, there's a lot of height to this cargo area. Especially if you take out the privacy cover, you can stack some pretty tall items in here. The trunk floor still raises up though, just to reveal the temporary spare tire. If you fold down the rear seat, total cargo space expands to 55.1 cubic feet. In the trunk, you'll also find a couple of cargo hooks, some illumination, and a 12-volt power outlet. Now before I close the video out, let's go ahead and see how this thing sounds. For this video, I hope y'all enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT N-Line. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so, because there's a lot more where that came from, with weekly car reviews as well as project vehicles as well. Also, don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you can get notified of new uploads. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like below. It really helps out a lot. Until next time, guys, I will see ya. Take care.